Good morning, everyone. I will be talking about bacterial keratitis, and I would be discussing some issues based on evidence from literature and partly from our current practice at RP Center. Now, to start, I would try and bring this talk into perspective vis-a-vis the literature which is available to us. Most of the literature regarding bacterial keratitis and the current practices from the Western world, and it is important to note that when you talk about bacterial keratitis in say United States, they are assuming that about 95% of their cases with the microbial keratitis have bacteria as the etiological organism. While when we look at a case of microbial keratitis, we have to keep in mind that almost 40% from North India and going up to almost 60 to 70% in South and the eastern part of India constitutes fungal keratitis. So this is just to put things in perspective when we talk about bacterial keratitis, that we have to give equal weightage to fungal keratitis when we are looking at cases of microbial keratitis. Now, the major issue which one has to decide is whether to start the patient on monotherapy or combination therapy. In the current practice, we either rely on moxifloxacin or gatifloxacin drops as monotherapy, and combination therapy is constituted by tobramycin 1.3% and cefazolin drops 5%. So what are the advantages of monotherapy and the various relative disadvantages? It is easily available, there is off-the-shelf availability. It is known to be better tolerated by patients, and the efficacy may be more as you approach the newer generation fluoroquinolones. However, there are some disadvantages, potential disadvantages, including that the coverage may not be as complete as provided by the use of two antibiotics. There have been certain complications which have been reported, including the increased risk of perforations with the use of fluoroquinolones, and they have been known to cause drug deposits. When you talk about combination therapy, you have the confidence that you are providing a very broad spectrum coverage to begin empirical treatment for the patient, and you are achieving a very high concentration of the antibiotics. However, there are certain evident disadvantages. These need to be prepared individually. They are not available off the shelf. They have limited shelf life as a result. They may be little more irritant to the eye. And there is the practical issue of using 2 drops versus 1 drop in monotherapy. So which is better? Now we have, at RP Center, we have conducted 2 randomized controlled trials to compare the efficacy of 4th generation fluoroquinolones versus fortified antibiotics. This first trial which I am highlighting compared the efficacy of moxifloxacin versus gatifloxacin versus fortified drops in a 3-arm trial. And the parameters which were evaluated were healing of the ulcer, duration to cure, adverse reactions, antibiogram profile, treatment failures, final visual acuity, and the corneal opacity size. And what we found was that there was no statistically significant difference amongst all 3 groups in the mean time to heal. And more importantly, all regimes were well tolerated by the patients. Another trial, we compared the role of moxifloxacin versus fortified drops in bacterial keratitis, and the primary outcome variable was the percentage of ulcers that healed at 3 months. Again, we found that the healing rates were similar at 3 months, and no serious events were attributable to therapy. This is another study, a similar study from Australia, and it compared moxifloxacin versus fortified drops and found no statistical difference between the treatment groups. This study actually sums up published in 2012 results of all randomized controlled trials and some non-randomized studies, and found that fluoroquinolones prescribed as empirical initial treatment for bacterial keratitis are at least as effective as combined fortified antibiotics. This is the forest plot of this from the study, and you can see that both the control groups and the treatment groups, in this case the fortified versus the fluoroquinolones, had similar efficacy. So can you use monotherapy interchangeably with fortified therapy? When you see a bacterial ulcer, it could be presenting like this, with small peripheral ulcers sparing the visual axis, or in contrast, this ulcer which is happened in a patient with an operated keratoplasty. So theoretically, both are bacterial ulcers, and so can we use monotherapy or the fortified therapy interchangeably? So to look for these answers, we have to go a little more in detail in the published studies, and there are a couple of pointers which can guide us towards knowing the severity of the ulcers. And what you see is that only about 1/4 to about 1/3 of these ulcers had hypopionate presentation, which can be an indicator of the severity. And more importantly, look at the size of the ulcers which were evaluated, enrolled in these studies. So in the study from RP Center, the ulcer size was around 4.2 millimeters with a standard deviation of 2 millimeters, which translates to an ulcer size of around 2.5 to 6.5 millimeters across both groups. And in the Australian study, the ulcer size was even smaller. So the recommendation based on the evidence in literature and our current practice is that we should consider monotherapy as the first line of treatment in clinically suspected or proven bacterial corneal ulcers which are less than 8 millimeters in size. It may also have a role in mixed infections where antifungals are also required, so that the patient does not end up being prescribed 3 drops which are to be used round the clock. And the combination therapy is a preferred choice where we suspect bacterial corneal ulcers and they are of more than 8 millimeters in size. Any ulcer which is perforated or impending perforation, any post-surgical corneal ulcers, and ulcers with scleral involvement. Further, systemic antibiotics may be added with the scleral involvement, impending or perforated ulcers, and gonococcal keratitis. So once you have begun the empirical therapy, what do you do next? You begin, there could be 2 outcomes. Either the patient gets better or the patient is same or worse at the next follow-up. If he is better, it is fine. You continue the medication and reduce the frequency as you go along. However, if the patient is worse, then one has to check for compliance. Lot many times we see that the patient is not able to comply with the round-the-clock application. One has to recheck the culture report to corroborate the microorganism and the antibiotic being used. And if all these have been done, then one has to consider either rescraping or a corneal biopsy. However, if the patient is still worsening, then one has to consider adjunctive modalities like intracorneal injections, intracameral injections, and beyond that, then there are surgical options like synthetic glues, amniotic membranes, and patch graft. And last but not the least, therapeutic keratoplasty if the ulcer has already perforated and tectonic support has to be provided to the globe. These are a few clinical examples. What you might expect to see. A patient may progress make clinical progression with the use of fortified drops. This is a patient with a tunnel infection. Despite all therapy, including fortified therapy, the patient still landed up with perforation and was managed with a patch graft. And this is an ulcer which progressed despite maximal therapy and needed a therapeutic graft. However, you might still find that the patient is still worsening even further with all these surgical management options. And if you have a patient who has no perception of light or presents with a painful blind eye, then one can consider evisceration and the patient can be counseled about that. In conclusion, monotherapy has been found to be at least as effective as combination therapy for the treatment of bacterial keratitis. However, in-depth analysis of published literature shows that monotherapy should be used as a first-line treatment of ulcers that are less than 8 millimeters in size, and microbiological diagnosis remains the cornerstone of establishing the optimum treatment for patients. Thank you.